Alright, this is the part 2 of this episode. The summary, I've done the summary. If that's what you wanted to hear, that was it back there. And now we're going to details. My name is Paschal. This is Top 10 Nigeria, and you are on the front row seat. This is going to be fun. Now, the first one is computer science. The reason why I timed this computer science is because that's what I actually wanted to study in the university. But my father didn't think it was a good course for me to study as at that time. Parents then, and even up to now, still want their kids to study medicine, pharmacy, be a lawyer, engineering, professional courses that when you come out, you can actually set up on your own and, start growing from there. I do not blame them because they are looking out for us. That's what they imagine that will be stable in future. And it wasn't a bad idea. However, what I wanted to study was computer science. He said he didn't think it was a good idea that I should choose medicine or pharmacy. I chose pharmacy as my first choice and biochemistry as the second choice. I didn't get pharmacy, I got biochemistry. I studied it and got that, but that didn't prevent me from taking trainings. So I took trainings and became good at website development. So I started with front page, and from there I moved over to Dreamweaver, and from Dreamweaver I started doing content management systems like WordPress, Joomla, the rest of them, those kind of things. I've developed several websites. I think one of the most challenging websites I developed was a vendor's website. Now what this website does is that it allows vendors to come and register on this website and have an online store on this website. So what the owner of the website does is just to take a percentage of whatever sales is made on the website, sort of like developing a Konga website or Jumia website. That's what it is. So I developed it for a lady that lives in Germany. So that's how far I've come with website development. And computer and ICT programming is actually the future. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, there are several things that computers are doing now, and we have to just get into it. I got into this thing early and I started learning it. And to top it up, when Photoshop became the new standard for retouching of photos, I learned that, and from there learned CorelDRAW, and it was smooth sailing. Up to today, I still get designs for logos. I worked in an industry where one of my core duties is product development, from packets, from the label to the posters, flyers, social media images. Designing of social media images is different from designing of posters because the screen illuminates social media flyers. So you would use the same colors you use in designing social media flyer to design an actual poster that will be pasted on the wall or on a billboard. So those are the talents that you develop along the way. And I started this, while I was in the tertiary institution. So this is what I found. My first paying job that I got, because my goal was I was never going to work for anyone. Right from when I was in the university, I was praying that I do not work for anyone, but it didn't work out that way. But the first job I actually got it while I was going around, because what I did, I had a proposal, and I go around to hotels, go around to companies, and I tell them that they need a website, and I'm the man to design the website for them. Alright, some of them hired me, some didn't. However, I was reluctant to go into a computer school, a computer training school, because I assumed that it's a computer training school, they already know what I know, so they may not need my services. But what the hell, let me go. I got into there and told them, look, I'm a website developer and I'm your guy. I can get you whatever type of website you want. They said, yes, we actually need a website. There's an international certification they are trying to get, and they need a certain kind of website in order to ensure that they get that international certification. That can I do the website in 2 weeks? I said I can do the website in 1 week, and I delivered in 1 week. They paid me my money. They didn't even bargain with me. Paid me straight up and gave me an offer for a job. They said, look, in this school, we don't have any person that lectures website development. Can you do that? I said, fine, I can do that, but I can't work every day. So I was actually staggered that I was given 3 times in a week. For the lecture, I come into my lecture and leave and go do other things. That's the kind of power you have when your talent is rare. So try and train in that dream and specialize in that dream that you have, because it will get you far. So that's how I got the job, and from there I incorporated Photoshop and CorelDRAW training and increased my pay. So that's it. And number 2 is landed property. Alright, how did I get into landed property? while I was on my first job in the school training people on website development, a friend of mine went for an interview in the ICT unit of the office of the governor in this country. I don't want to be specific. Now, the questions he was being asked, he couldn't answer them. However, at the end of the interview, he just told them, I know I didn't do well in this interview because I don't know most of the questions that you were asking me. However, I do know somebody who can answer these questions. And they said, can you tell the person to come in and interview for the job? He came to my office then at the training school and said, look at what is happening. Can you go in there and, answer some of these questions? I got there, they sat me down. They were asking me questions that I asked my students in the school. And it was really easy. And to cap it up, they said, do you have a copy of some of your works? I got out a CD and gave to them. They opened it, and the killer was that I could use Photoshop. So immediately they found out I could use Photoshop, and I knew about networking, about some designs, website management, and all the rest of them. It just fit into the profile of what they wanted, and they said, can you start next Monday? I said, no, I can't start next Monday because I have a contract with the people that I work. I will start at the beginning of next month. I actually gave them terms before I started, and this is true life story. This is true life story. So I got into that job, and while I was working that job, I was getting some money, and it was really good because as at that time, I was living in one of my father's apartment. It's a 3-bedroom flat. There was nobody there, and I was living there. I wasn't paying for rent, so I was making savings. Now, when I got a reasonable sum of money, my first thought was, what kind of business can I invest in? And it doesn't require my attention. It doesn't require me being there all the time. Because if I have to do my job, which is 7 to 7, you did 9 to 5, I did 7 to 7 at that office. If there is a state event, sometimes I work over the weekend. So working at the office of the governor in Nigeria is not a joke. Some of us sleep in the office in order to get things done and ready for the next day. Alright? So when I saved this money, I started thinking, what kind of business can I invest in that doesn't require my attention all the time? And after all my research and digging, the conclusion I came to is that I have to invest in the property business. Now, the reason why I came to that conclusion is that my assumption is that if I invest in the property business and build a house and rent it out, the only time I need to pay attention to that facility that much, like seriously, is when I need to collect my rent, which is once a year. Once a year I can handle, I can bring out time, even if it requires 2-3 days to follow up with the processes and make sure that everybody pays me as at when due. Alright, so that's how I started. I bought the land and I didn't have money to build. At a certain point, I was hoping to save a lot of money, but it wasn't coming through as I planned it. So guess what? A lot of people imagine that if you have to build a house, you really have to gather a lot of money. But true life story, when I started the foundation of my first apartment building, which is a 12 self-contained rooms with kitchen and toilet. When I started that project, all I had in my account was 50,000 naira. Believe it or not, 50,000 naira. I got 2 trips of sand, some bags of cement, got a mason dude to start molding blocks. The next thing I asked them, how do they do foundation? They said I have to get stones. I couldn't have felt the granite, so I got local stones. That's what I used for that building. And they told me that it's based on the meters. I pay per meter of the foundation. I said, all right, dig it, calculate it. And with 50,000 naira, I got started. They did it and put a few blocks, just to mark the perimeter, and that was it. I was out of money. But what happened was that whenever I get money, I know that I already have a project at hand. So I'll go there and invest in that project. Right? Now, the building of a building, the blocks, is actually the easy part. Because you will see the blocks as it is accumulating and it will form the shape that you want to achieve. So it's actually the easy part. The next part that you actually need a block sum of money is when you're doing your roofing. Because you can't do the woodwork and leave it for some time. The wood gets too dry before you put the covering on it, the zinc or whatever aluminium you want to use. So there are several ways you can do a budget building. If you talk to a building master, he will explain all these things to you. Instead of using chain building, chain lintel, you do just window lintels, where you can put pillar and where you can use block to form a kind of stronghold so that the house will be stable. Alright, so I did this building because I bought this land close to a polytechnic. The goal is to build 12 self-contained rooms that the students can use. So it wasn't that big, it wasn't a luxury apartment, it's just something a student can afford and use. And I intended to call the place Victoria's Court. That's what I actually called it. But the reason why I intended to call it, because before I could finish the house, after I roofed it and started putting the windows on there, somebody came and said they liked the property and wanted to buy it off me. Are you kidding me? I wasn't keen on selling. However, because the person was keen on buying, I actually tripled my investment on that property. At that stage, I calculated all I have spent on that house, I multiplied it by 3 and told the dude, and just a little thing off it as a discount, and he bought the house. So that was where my property investment started, and from there I was able to procure 2 other plots of land, and with time I started developing it, and when it appreciated, I sold one and used it to develop the second one. And on the second one, what I ended up having was 2 detached, semi-detached 1-bedroom apartments. So I have 1-bedroom apartment on this side and 1-bedroom apartment on this side, and it's rented, and it generates revenue. The revenue it generates per annum isn't anything to wow you, but it settles a lot of bills, when it comes in, and it has been running for some years now. So it's actually a very good investment to make. And to cap it all up, I now had enough money to build a house where I am currently living with my family. Now, in Nigeria, if you can do away with paying of rent, you have achieved a lot. To be honest with you, I actually get sick when I get to the month of paying rent. When I was paying rent, one of the periods of time, my boss had to help me out because there was nothing I had close enough to pay for my rent. It was either I get thrown out or I go borrow money from somewhere, and my boss came to my aid. So it's actually a very hefty achievement that the house that I'm living in currently, I built myself and I don't pay rent. So that's the trend of my investment in property business. Number 3 is financial investment. Because I got into the property business, I'm able to generate a bulk sum of money periodically. And when you generate a bulk sum of money, a lot of people don't understand the power of having cash, liquidity. Now, if you have cash, money, you can invest in several businesses. There are investment companies set up in order for you to bring your money, and they tell you, look at what is trending now. Look at the evergreen investments. Look at what you can put your money into, and in the next 5-6 years, you are smiling away to the bank. However, what I started with is treasury bills. Treasury bills is when the government borrows money from you, the individual. Now, they usually set this through the percentage of ROI, return on investment, through the Central Bank of Nigeria. So what they do is that every 2 weeks, the bank goes there, because you can't approach them directly. The bank goes to find out what is the percentage on investment if you are buying treasury bills. And when I started that investment, it was 18.5%. That's what I finally got it from the bank, because you buy it through the bank. So at 18.5%, what it means actually is, if you have like 10 million naira and you go buy treasury bills, and to make this calculation easy, they give it to you at 20%. That means in a year, you get 2 million naira on top of your 10 million naira. Now, a lot of people, their annual income is not up to 2 million naira. If you're earning 100,000 naira, that means your annual income is 1.2 million naira. If you're earning 200,000 naira a month, that means your annual income is 2.4 million naira. So 2 million naira is a lot of money if you compare it to what an annual income is. Alright, so if you get 2 million in addition to your salary every month, that should be comfortable enough for you to handle some projects. So that's why cash is important. I didn't have up to 10 million naira then, and I don't want to go into the details of how much I have, but you can actually start investing in treasury bill from as small as 100,000 naira. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually start from 100,000 naira. So I invested in that, and gradually it was reducing the return on income because the economy of Nigeria started getting bad, and now it is at its lowest. 4%, that is crazy. That means that if you invest like 2 million naira in the treasury bills, and end of the year they give you 80,000 naira, you use 2 million to make 80,000 naira in a year. That is so poor. So I moved my investment to investment companies. I don't want to mention names because investment is a very dicey issue. Some of them are high risk, some of them are low risk. It depends on the kind of person you are, it depends on the amount of money you have, it depends on how you want to earn your money. So do your due diligence, do your research properly, hire companies to do your research for you if need be. It's worth it so that you don't lose your money. So make sure, even with all the streams of income I'm mentioning, make sure you do your research very well if you want to follow suit. So I started with investment companies, and some of these investments are still ongoing and trickling in periodically. So up till now, I still have financial institutions as one of my streams of income. Alright, I do not want this video to be too long, so I'm going to cut this episode right here so that you can take in some of these things that I've explained, and in the next episode I'll continue from where I stopped and get you to the end of this. And remember, I promised you that if you stick around, I'll let you know some of the businesses that I attempted but didn't go as planned, so you don't feel that it has been a smooth sell. It's okay for you to try a business and not get through with it. Just keep trying until you find something that works for you and maximize it. My name is Paschal. This is Top 10 Nigeria, and I'm out.